There is something quietly fascinating about people who grew up in the 1970s, and psychology can actually explain why. If you grew up during this era, your brain developed during a rare moment in human history, a window where freedom was real, but responsibility was unavoidable. You weren't constantly watched, scheduled, or protected from every mistake. You were trusted to figure things out. And that's why people who grew up in the 70s often look at the modern world with a calm smile. Not a cruel one, not a judgmental one, but a knowing one. Because they experienced something that can never be recreated. A childhood so open, so unstructured, and so alive that decades later they still say things like, "I wish I could go back," or "We didn't know how good we had it." Some even joke, "We grew up drinking water from garden hoses. We were feral, and it was glorious." So what made the 1970s so different? And more importantly, what did it do to your brain? The first rare trait is something psychologists call self-directed problem solving. If you ever told your parents you were bored, you already know how this worked. You were told to go find something to do. And if you didn't, they would find something for you, usually chores. So you learned fast. Figure it out yourself. There were no endless activities planned for you, no constant entertainment. You had to invent your own day from nothing. That's why you read books for hours, rode your bike with no destination, built forts in the woods, explored until the sun started going down. Your brain learned how to create meaning out of emptiness, a skill modern childhood often skips entirely. And that leads to the second trait, one people notice immediately. You are unusually calm in chaos. You grew up taking real physical risks, climbing trees that were too high, riding bikes without helmets, lighting fireworks, getting hurt, recovering, and moving on. Every scraped knee taught your nervous system something important, the difference between real danger and manageable risk. You didn't learn this by watching, you learned it by living it. That's why when a crisis hits, you don't panic. You assess, you adapt, you act. But here's the trait most younger generations struggle to understand. You are comfortable being alone. Not lonely, just alone. You spent hours listening to music in your room, lying in the grass, talking, wandering by yourself with no screen pulling your attention every few seconds. Your brain never learned that boredom is an emergency, and because of that, you don't fear silence. Studies show people who grew up before constant digital stimulation experience less anxiety when left alone with their thoughts. You can wait. You can sit still. You can exist without constant input. That connects to the next trait, analog patience. You waited a week for your favorite show. You waited days for photos to be developed. You memorized phone numbers and hoped someone was home. Your entire childhood trained delayed gratification, something modern life actively destroys. And finally, there is the trait that ties everything together. Unsupervised autonomy. You left the house in the morning with one rule: be home when the street lights turn on. No tracking, no check-ins, no constant supervision. You had to judge situations yourself, make decisions yourself, and live with the consequences. Your parents weren't your friends. They were authorities, and they trusted you to be competent. That trust shaped your brain. So if you sometimes feel out of place in today's world, remember this: you are not outdated. You are carrying abilities that are quietly disappearing. Your independence isn't coldness, it's competence. Your comfort with silence isn't antisocial, it's depth. Your patience isn't apathy, it's discipline. You survived a childhood that would shock modern parents. And it didn't damage you, it built you. For a brief moment in history, childhood was both free and formative. And if you lived through it, you carry that wiring for life. If you grew up in the 1970s, you know exactly what this feels like. And if content like this resonates with you, you're not alone. This channel is just getting started.